Hey, you're listening to the Riverdale podcast. This is episode number 213. My name is Jonathan. Welcome to lovely Riverdale, USA. Hey folks, this is an Archie Comics fan podcast. We update every Saturday morning, and every week we break things up 4 ways. First up is the book of the week. That's the comic book I read this week. Sometimes it's a new comic book, sometimes it's an old comic book, but it's always an Archie comic book. We move then to the news of the week. That's what happened in the world of Archie in the week since our last podcast. Then on to new releases. That's what came out this past Wednesday, what will be coming up this coming Wednesday. And we're going to wrap up today talking about stuff, Patreon and content, and all will reveal itself in the final segment of the show. Got some cool ideas I want to run by you guys, so we'll talk about that in the later portion of the show. Before we jump into things, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who has gone over to patreon.com/Riverdale podcast and offered up some of their bucks to keep the show rolling, to compensate me for making this show happen every single week, nonstop, for the last 212 weeks. So big thanks to them. And if you are interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, head over to, as I said, patreon.com/Riverdale podcast. There you can set up a monthly donation. With a donation of $3 or more, you get a cool little package from me. So if you're interested in that, that's where you can go make that happen. We'll be talking more about that at the end of the show. Without further ado, let's jump into it and get into the book of the week. Folks, this week's book of the week is Jughead number 5 from the creative team of writer Chip Zdarsky, artist Erica Henderson, coloring on this issue by Andrei Szymanowicz, lettering by Jack Morelli. I've really been enjoying this series. I don't know if I just started paying attention to everyone's reaction to it, or whether the reaction to this has just gotten more intense. But I don't know, guys. I really like this book. I really enjoy Erica's artwork. I'm really enjoying Chip's writing. And I guess that's the last I'm going to say about the sort of like negativity surrounding this book, because I really only have nice things to say about it. So here we go. Issue number 5. It seems as though with the wrap-up of this issue that we're going to be headed into the 6th issue to wrap up this beginning story arc. And this is a story arc that I have absolutely loved from day one. You've got the villain character in Principal Stanger. I'm going to say Stanger. Principal Stanger. I have no idea how to pronounce that dude's name. But Principal Stanger came in and has taken over the school and just immediately butted heads with Jughead. And I love that. I love that you have this arch nemesis for Jughead. In this issue, we follow the same format that we have for the prior 4 issues, in that we introduce a challenge, and then midway through the issue, Jughead passes out, goes to sleep, whatever, and goes into sort of a dream world where we go to a different piece of the sort of multiverse, if you will, of Archie Comics. And then Jughead awakes from this fantasy, and within the fantasy, he has solved a problem. He has worked through whatever the issue is and come to a conclusion, and then he acts upon that in the 3rd act of the book. I really like this format. I think that it's going to be interesting to read it in trade with the 6 issues altogether, and we've seen from the solicitations, I believe the June solicitations coming up, that we will be getting a trade of these first 6 issues. So I think it's going to be interesting to read those all together. I think that it's a nice format. I do think it would be great to see it stray from that a little bit in the issues coming up. And I think in interviews and stuff, Chip has talked about that. But it has given him... I'm really of two minds about it, where I don't necessarily want to see the mid-book fantasy element stay in perpetuity. I have really enjoyed what that has offered in terms of possibilities of bringing in Jughead's time police, and in this issue in particular, bringing in the super teens. Now, we see the super teens right from the cover as we see Jughead, at least on the cover I have. I know there's a couple covers for this issue. A great Erica Henderson cover where Jughead is standing by, and then the shadow behind him is that of Captain Hero, his superhero alter ego as established back in the 60s with the super teens. This issue picks up where we left off. Last issue, Jughead convinced a core few of the Riverdale kids of what was going on in the high school. He and Dilton worked together and put a bug in Principal Stanger's office, and has convinced Archie, Kevin Keller, and Betty that something's going on. So they go on this investigation to a neighboring town of Sunnyside, which was a place where Principal Stanger was formerly the principal. We find Jughead putting on his sort of investigator hat, if you will. Not literally, he's still got the crown on. They go to Sunnyside, and there's a nod here to sort of the Riverdale issue of Archie from a few years back, as the gang meets up with pretty much the mirror images of themselves. I really, really like that. And the mirror image of Jughead, who goes by the name Crowns, shows him around, leads him to someone who was around when Principal Stanger was, in fact, the principal of Sunnyside High School. And they get a lead as to what his motivations might be, that it might be leading up to a big event at the Halloween dance, which is coming up. It seems as though, in talking to this person, that Principal Stanger follows the same MO, really, goes by the same pattern of events leading to whatever it is he's trying to get to. I like that we don't know what his end game is, and I'm excited to find out what it is next issue. So we find, in talking to this sort of informant who's working in the mall food court, that one of the things that Principal Stanger does is try to shut down the local hangout. And Jughead immediately fears for our man, Pop Tate, and decides they've got to get back to Riverdale with a quickness. He passes out, and we go into this whole dream sequence, which is, as I mentioned, the super teens. Great to see the super teens. Also fantastic to see the Equalizer, who is Kevin Keller's super teen identity, who was obviously created by Dan Parent. That character came in the final issues of Kevin Keller, I guess a couple years back now. So cool to see the Equalizer working right beside everybody else. Jughead snaps out of this fantasy that he's having just in time to find that they're back in Riverdale, and that Pop Tate's chocolate shop has been closed. And Jughead just can't take it, and it seems at the end of the issue like he is retreating, but I don't believe it for a second. There's a great homage to the Spider-Man Hero No More. Maybe it wasn't a cover, but it was a page. You'll know it when you see it. It's a famous Spider-Man image. I think John Romita drew it. Oh, man, I'm messing this up. My comic book nerd card is going to get taken away. But the sort of Spider-Man No More homage on that last page. Really, really great moments in this issue. I think that it builds us more and more towards the conclusion, and I'm really, really excited to see the final standoff between Jughead and Principal Stanger. And through here, we had some really, really fantastic moments. I mentioned a moment ago that they meet up with the sort of gender-reversed versions of themselves when they get to Sunnyside. And, Jughead's sort of counterpart, if you will, helps him. And in the meantime, while they're sort of chasing down this mystery, Reggie has met Regina, who he thinks is the girl of his dreams. And we find, when they go to find him to get a ride back to Riverdale, that he's totally just sort of making out with himself, which is hilarious, which is a really, really good gag, because there's no one in the world that Reggie would enjoy spending time with more than himself, basically. Really, really awesome. There's also a sign as they're driving into Sunnyside that says, as in the egg preference. That, as I say it verbally, is not very funny, but on the sign, I actually laughed out loud. Welcome to Sunnyside, like the egg preference. Which I was so into. Good issue, fun stuff. Ultimately, it just leaves me wanting more. It leaves me wanting to get to that next chapter, which is what you want from a comic. I sort of sped through reading this to figure out, what little bits of the mystery we were going to get. And that's really what this is. It's a mystery story starring all of these great characters, starring Jughead front and center. I really enjoyed Erica Henderson's artwork. I think that her ability to draw the Riverdale kids in rad fashions, to design all of these counterpart characters, these sort of like gender swap characters. They all look really good. I love the sort of like dark blue leopard print collared jacket that Andy, the Archie sort of gender counterpoint is. I love her superhero action. I love the real intensity of people's reactions, the real cartoony expressions on everyone's faces as things are going on. There's a scene of Betty looking very inquisitive. I guess super teen looking very inquisitive that I like a lot. I like the outrage on Jughead's face. I think she does a great job with expressions. I think she's a great cartoonist. So, I guess we'll wrap it up there. I loved this issue, and as much as I loved it, it mostly just makes me want the next one. So good on the creative team. I'm really, really loving this Jughead series. I'm excited for the next issue, and we'll see where it goes. I have all the faith in the world in Chip that he's going to deliver us a great story, a great wrap-up to this storyline. So we'll wait, and we'll see what happens. I'm very, very excited. Let's wrap it up there. That is our book of the week, Jughead number 5. All right, folks, Archie news. Got a little slice of Archie news for you this week. First up, last week, just around the time that last week's episode dropped, Archie fans, the Archie Fan Forum, went down. That was down for a few days. It is back up, I'm happy to report. Archie Fans is a fantastic forum. We talked to Michael just a few weeks back about those forums. Good stuff going on there all the time. If you want to talk Archie comics, that's the place to do it. If you have previously talked Archie comics there, you're going to want to head back and set up your account, get your screen name back, all of that stuff. Because unfortunately, all of the backups are gone. Michael had kept us posted on the Facebook page for the few days that the site was down, talking about the problems with the backups and the hosting service and all of that stuff. So it's sort of a good news, bad news. The good news is that it's back, so head over and rejoin everybody. All the topics, all the conversations sprang right back up. So come and join us there. The bad news is you're going to have to re-sign up, start from the bottom, work your way up through, hero member and I don't know, whatever the titles are. You're going to have to start back with 1 post, 2 posts, and get your seniority back. So get in on the ground floor there. Head over to archiefans.com, which is back. The other piece of news is that Riverdale, the CW pilot based on all the Archie Comics characters, finished up wrapping just a couple days back, just this past Thursday, I guess. And there were a few sources that were showing us some photographs. One in particular that stopped my little heart was the Pop-Tate's chocolate shop set with a full Pop-Tate's neon sign outside. Looks like an old school diner. We just got the exterior shot. It looks so good, you guys. It looks so pretty. Archie Comics posted that on their Facebook. Also, my sort of new favorite Twitter I've been shouting about for the last couple weeks, at CW Riverdale News. On Twitter, dropped those pictures as well. There's a picture of a badge for a Riverdale police car that would sort of go on the door. There's a few little pieces like that have leaked out from the set. I think intentionally leaked out, but have been are available for us to check out. Really, really excited about that. I'd read somewhere, I need to look around and confirm this, that we would find out in the next couple months whether that pilot would be heading to series. So we'll... I'm going to cross my fingers for the series to happen. You guys can cross your series for whatever you need, the series to do for you personally. But I'm really, really excited to see it now that it's filmed and wrapped. I don't know how I get to see it. I don't know what kind of angles I can work or whatever, but I really, really want to see this thing. So that wrapped up filming. Obviously, it'll be edited, put together as a pilot, and the execs will watch it, and we'll find out whether Riverdale is going to series and coming this fall. There it is. That's your news of the week. Archie Comics, the Archie Fan Forum is back up, and Riverdale has finished filming. All right, folks, new releases. New releases for this past Wednesday, March the 30th. Archie Comics Double Digest number 267. Got a rad cover by Fernando Ruiz, Bob Smith, and Tito Pena on the cover, on the colors, as always. And we have one of our last Fernando Ruiz Archie stories. This story was penciled and written by Fernando Ruiz, with inks by Bob Smith and colors by Glenn Whitmore, letters by Jack Morelli, Archie in mess code. A great dress code story. Quick, concise, to the point, classic Archie story. So don't miss out on this. Unfortunately, we're on our sort of countdown of the final Fernando Ruiz Archie stories, so don't miss out on this one. Also out this week, of course, our book of the week, Jughead number 5. Also out this week, Sonic Universe number 83. The Sonic comics are back after their little hiatus. Question mark over my head. I don't know. But they're back. So, so go out and buy them, I guess. Sure. Sonic Universe number 83 is out this week. Coming up this coming Wednesday the 6th, Archie number 7. Yay. Awesome. I'm really, really excited about this. Next week is my birthday week. And so I'm really, really excited to have a new issue of Archie to read. I get real pumped about my birthday. So I make it sort of a multi-day celebration. So a few days early reading Archie is going to be really, really nice. Also out this week, Sonic Super Digest number 16. Again, all the Sonic comics seem to be hitting us at once. All the books we were waiting for, maybe back in December and January, are hitting now. So I guess it was a bad time to be a Sonic comic fan a couple months ago. It's a great time now because everything's hitting at once. And on the digital side of things, I haven't received much info on the digital exclusives for the last couple weeks. I don't know if I'm not looking hard enough or what's going on, but I haven't seen any this week. If any come to my attention, obviously I'll bring them up as I know what's going on. But there you have it. Those are your new releases for this past Wednesday the 30th, this coming Wednesday the 6th from Archie Comics. All right, folks, finally today we're going to talk a little bit about money and a lot about content. Here's the thing. I guess it's been almost a couple months now that I've been doing the show independently. When I made the break from working with Archie Comics directly, I set up a Patreon account. So you can go over to patreon.com/Riverdale podcast. You can make a monthly donation. I talked about that at the top of the show, obviously. You can do that. So what I've been thinking about is all of the different ideas I have for exploring different things within Archie fandom. And I thought it would be cool to do some exclusive content for Patreon subscribers. So what I have is a survey that you can go and check out. It is 2 questions, 3 questions if you want to answer the third, about whether you would be interested, excited about, chipping in $1 a month, $3 a month, $10 a month, however much you want, a minimum of $1 a month, and getting a little bit of bonus content each month. So this would be a way for me to thank Patreon subscribers, folks who are sending cash in, give them a little bonus content every month, but also could stand, if I'm talking capitalistically, to entice others to come in and check those shows out. So someone who enjoys listening to the show every week, maybe wants a little added content, might be interested in chipping in a couple bucks to do that. So it's sort of a dual-fold thing. Thank the people who are already contributing and maybe entice a few other contributors to come in and contribute. So I've set up a quick Google survey. If you head over to tinyurl.com/Riverdale podcast survey, there's a link right in the description of this podcast. You can also find the link at riverdale.podcast.com. It's a quick couple of questions. First question is, would you be interested in contributing to the show via Patreon if it gave you access to exclusive content? Yes or no? Simple enough. Also, I've got a list here of the potential shows that I would like to do, and whichever one gets the most votes is the one that I'm going to do. This would be a special monthly segment, at least monthly, potentially more, but an added episode, an added bonus thing, in addition to the 4, obviously, regular episodes of Riverdale podcast that come out every month. One option is Impact Comics. These are interesting licensed books that DC published in the early 90s. Many of you might be familiar with them, but in the early 90s, DC licensed the Archie superheroes. A lot of the same heroes that we're seeing in the Dark Circle line right now, the Shield, the Fly, those characters. And that's something I've been looking into, checking out and getting into and reading. So this would be a podcast where I'd read one or more of those issues, talk about that, and we'd sort of learn about the Impact universe together. I thought that would be cool. Another thing I've been looking into is the Sabrina the Teenage Witch live-action series. Of course, the sort of classic Melissa Joan Hart series. I've never watched that show, ever. I think I may have seen a couple scattered episodes. So I am really interested in going in and doing like an episode-by-episode like viewing and reaction to those. So that could be a lot of fun. Another option is the videos. These would be different than the videos I was doing with Archie. They'd be more like the videos I did back in the day. I guess a couple years ago now when I was doing regular videos over at youtube.com/Riverdale podcast of showing off, books, interesting things from my collection. I did a couple, quote-unquote haul videos of stuff I picked up at conventions and stuff. That would be just sort of like a fun, interface kind of thing, doing some things that I can't do through audio. So those are all options. You can also choose something else. If there's a different kind of show or a different kind of content you'd like to see from me, there's an option there for you to fill that in. Tell me what kind of bonus content you would be willing to chip in $1 or $2 or $3 or $10 a month to see from me each month. So there you go. Trying to be as transparent as possible. And I'm also excited about doing any one of these shows. It could be I'll do all of them at some point. But those are sort of on my short list of projects I want to get to. And if those sound good to you, as I said, tinyurl.com/Riverdale podcast survey, or follow the link at riverdale.podcast.com. Thank you guys so much. Any questions, any thoughts, get in touch. Let me know. All right, on the way out today, as I just said, get in touch. There are a number of ways to get in touch. You can always send an email to riverdalePodcast@yahoo.com. You can get in touch. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can call and leave a voicemail at 573-427-2443. If you can't get enough of this show, you can head over to riverdalePodcast.com and listen to past episodes. If you can't get enough of me, you can head over to about.me/Jonathan Merrifield. That's got all of my information of what I'm doing around the internet. Have a great week, you guys. Thanks so much for listening. My name is Jonathan, and I will see you again next week, right here in lovely Riverdale, USA.